The older I get, the less bread I try to eat. It's called carbohydrates. And they just stick. So I am in a period of my life when I try to pass up the rolls, the bread at dinner, the bun. Just don't want that much bread. Let me tell you, if I had been one of the disciples who had pulled in that load of fish, and Jesus offered me bread and he toasted on that fire, give it to me, Jesus. Give me the bread. From you, I will take the bread. Last Sunday, I was talking a little bit about being a sacramental Catholic. I even called it an addiction. And it's one addiction from which I hope to never deter. I don't have any reason to become some recovering Catholic. I don't want to recover from this. What this is for me is too life-giving and enriching. Being one who finds the revelation of the Lord in sacrament and in signs. When Jesus meets those disciples on the shore, he takes bread and he gives it to them. It seems that most of the times that Jesus appeared to his disciples, it involved the bread. It involved that meal that he pleaded with them to do in remembrance of me. And so I come back again and again to the bread of life. I may pass up a lot of the other breads that are passed before me. In fact, last night at the banquet, I just took a little roll and put it on the dessert tray. I left the desserts there too. But I don't need the bread. But I need the bread of life. I don't know where my life would be if I were in communion with Jesus. And today, these children are for the first time receiving the bread of life. And hopefully, as they go through their lives, as we go through our lives, being fed again and again in these sacramental signs, we are being more enriched, nourished by Christ. Bread and wine are not only sacramental signs, of course, but flowing from our receiving of Eucharist ought to be many other signs of the presence of Christ. Just as those disciples initially did not recognize Jesus, they didn't recognize him in the person that he was. He was changed. But where they began to recognize him was in the signs that he was working. And people will recognize Christ risen among us to the extent that we who are nourished by the body and blood of Christ repeat those signs. When, because we are Eucharistic people, we wash another's feet. When we are Eucharistic people, we try to feed others and the thirsty. We make an attempt to welcome the stranger, just as Jesus commanded us to do. When we experience the presence of God in oil, water, bread, wine, hands, it just deepens our awareness that Jesus indeed is resurrected and he is present and among us. And I know for myself as a Catholic, there has never been any sign more deeply important to me when the sign of bread and wine, his body broken for me, his blood shed for me. So this morning, while these children receive communion for the first time, all of us are going to follow them later and receive again what the Lord gives to us. So let us be like those first disciples, eager to eat the bread that Jesus is offering them from the shore. Who wouldn't eat toast that Jesus made? I mean, really, that bread was on the fire. That's called toast. There's no butter or jam. But I would eat that bread. And the bread that we receive today, the body of Christ, doesn't have the taste and the flavor and the texture of those good breads. It doesn't need to. Because that bread is now the body of Christ. It's the body of Jesus. And you and I are privileged to believe that and to receive that again, so that we, having received Christ, do what we can to then be Christ to others.